Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 8 video lessons. Students, today we will talk about structuring our sentences correctly. This is our topic of grammar. We will learn that how we will make complex sentences. We know that there are different types of sentences by structure. We will also talk about it. But first, let's go through our students' learning outcome. So today we have the learning outcome which says construct complex sentences and paragraphs using main and subordinating clauses with appropriate transitional devices and correct punctuation. Yes. In order to construct a very complex paragraph that contains complex sentences, we need to use the main and subordinating clauses. They work together to make a complex sentence. This is what we are going to learn, and we will also see that how there are some conjunctions, some devices for transition. They are added in our sentences, and we also will see that how in this whole scenario we can add correct punctuation. Now, students, I hope that the learning outcome is clear. Now, think about tenses, think about your sentences and how many sentences can you make. This is a vertical linkage. Let's move on to our brainstorming session for today. Students, I hope that all of you can make simple sentences that make complete sense. But what about this sentence? You cannot leave the school until the bell rings. This is not a simple sentence. It is a little complex. And how it is complex, you need to think about it. All right. Did you notice any different word between these two chunks of sentences? Yes. We have the word until, which makes this sentence a little complex. This part is our main clause. You cannot leave the school. And this part is our dependent or subordinating clause, which is dependent upon the independent clause, and it has a word, a conjunction, until. Now, when you have this kind of sentence, a main clause with a subordinating clause joined by a conjunction like subordinating conjunction, until, or all of the others, successfully we have made a complex sentence. I hope that now you're clear about it. Let's move on to the lesson. First, I would like you to tell about the types of sentences we have if we talk about how we structure our sentences. So, first one is our simple sentences. They are very easy to make and not very complicated. Then we have our compound sentences and followed by complex sentence, and lastly, number 4, we have compound complex sentences. Today we will only talk about complex sentences, and we will revise what a simple sentence and a compound sentence is. Now, let's talk about all these different sentence types. First one, we have our simple sentence. Now, this simple sentence, we know that it has a subject and a predicate. Subject is the thing we talk about, and predicate is the information or the rest of the sentence. We make our simple sentence by these two and express a complete thought. It means that the whole sentence is making sense. It is logical and giving a complete thought. A simple sentence is also called an independent clause. Why? Because the sentence is understood on its own. It does not need any help from outside or from other clauses. For example, giving way on the road means letting others go before you. Does this whole sentence give a full thought? Yes. Is it incomplete? No, not at all. It has a subject and the predicate. So this makes it an independent clause, which is ultimately a simple sentence making sense on its own. But when we are talking about compound sentences, we need to combine two things together. This contains two or more independent clauses. Yes, we need two simple sentences. When we want to combine them, two or more than two, we use some words. These clauses are joined by what? Words which are conjunctions, and we use coordinating conjunction, and they are, as we know, we remember it by the acronym fanboys. It stands for and nor, but, of, or, yet, and so. This is not of, this is or. Now, these are all our coordinating conjunctions, easy to remember. It is an easy to remember memory trick that can be used in English when learning about coordinating conjunctions in compound sentences. We use our coordinating conjunctions, fanboys, in our compound sentences. For example, give way rules are road rules that allow all road users to know who needs to give way and when they can go safely. Now, can you point out the coordinating conjunction? Here it is. This is and. It is simply connecting this independent sentence with this one. Yes, independent sentence, or independent clauses, as you can call them as well. Now we are connecting them with a coordinating conjunction, and this makes it a compound sentence. Now, when you are using coordinating conjunctions, you can use all the fanboys, the whole acronym, and you can make a connection between two independent clauses or independent sentences. Let's talk about complex sentence. Complex means it is a little complicated to understand. It is not normal. Your complex sentence includes an independent clause and a dependent clause. They will work together. Independent clause is also called main clause, and dependent clause is also called subordinating clause. Subordinating clause. Now, when they are working together, they need a subordinating conjunction in between to connect them both. This is a very important aspect of, it is an important aspect of road etiquette and safety that helps ensure smooth and yes. Now, this part, if you are connecting with subordinating conjunctions like while, when, or even the conditional sentences, you can make so many different complex sentences that is connecting independent clause with the dependent clause, and in between with the dependent clause, at the start you can find your subordinating conjunction. Now, here is how a complex sentence looks like. You have your dependent clause first. When the cake is brown, remove it from the oven. When the cake is brown is not making sense on its own, but remove it from the oven gives a complete sense. So these two will be connected, and you can always use a comma between connecting these two clauses which are dependent and independent. Now, this way we made a very good complex sentence. Now, these are all the subordinating conjunctions that you need to memorize. You can note them down, maybe make a mnemonic to memorize all of them so that you can use any of these subordinating conjunction in making your complex sentences. Now, we already know that an independent clause gives us a complete thought, like dinner was not served. This is totally a clause which is independent. An independent clause is what is not expressing us and giving us a complete thought. if you take this sentence, this part, because we forgot to shop, what comes before because? This is incomplete. It means it needs an independent clause to make complete sense. And when we are giving it an independent clause, mixing it together with any conjunction, any subordinating conjunction, we can have our complex sentence. These are all different sentences that are actually complex. You can find either the dependent clause first or the independent clause after. So in either way, there are actually two structures. You can have your dependent clause first or your independent clause first, and then your dependent or independent respectively. So for after learning about this, let's do a very quick a very quick classroom activity where you have to write a paragraph about your favorite outdoor activity, and you have to include at least 3 complex sentences that consist of a main clause and a subordinating clause. And what else do we need? We need some conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions. We will also take care of punctuation and the flow of the sentence. So it means you have to use the subordinating conjunction correctly. You cannot use any subordinating conjunction for telling the same thing or any other thing. Now, students, here is your worksheet that is included. These are some 19 or 20 different sentences. You have to point out which one of them is simple, which one of them is compound, and which one is a complex sentence. For your homework, you have to choose the correct answer and put the missing part, the missing subordinating conjunction, in the sentence in the blanks. This is the second part of the homework where you have to write complex sentences using these subordinating conjunctions. Examples are also given in the parentheses. You can take a look at the examples and you will have an idea that how each subordinating conjunction is working. These are all your resources for your understanding and help. You can get the worksheet and the skill sheet to solve it and then improve your understanding. Thank you, students. I'll see you in the next video lesson. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.